Hello, good evening to you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to say Merry Christmas to you all. I am delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're enjoying the Christmas holiday and that you had to exchange gifts in boxes today. So you're welcome. I am so delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. With me here are three speakers who will be co-hosting this program with me. I have Olayinka Akonde, I have Dr. Godbless Akaige, and I have Dr. Kunle Oguntegbe. So please, my speakers, can you turn on your videos so that we can see you? Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
evening, everyone. Good evening, Ejiro.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for joining. You're
Good
welcome.
evening, everyone.
Okay, so we haven't heard from Kunle. Kunle, can we hear from you as well? Okay, Kunle, your mic is muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Great, I can hear you now.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be in the house.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So, guys in the house, thank you for joining us. We're starting right away. I'd like for my speakers to just give a brief introduction about themselves, just very, very brief. Okay, just let us know something about you. So we'll start with Yinka. Yinka, can you tell us briefly?
Yes, absolutely. Good evening, everyone, and Merry Christmas. I see a few people connected. I see a few wonderful people actually connected. Thank you so much for joining in. Femi, I see you. So good to see you. Kemi, Blessing, all the amazing people within my network. I really do appreciate you and everyone that has connected as well. My name is Olayinka, and I work as a people and training lead with a financial institution here in Nigeria. And I'm so excited. I was just saying to Adriel earlier today that I'm excited about every opportunity where we get to speak about career success, because I just know that there's definitely something for someone here today to get away. So again, good evening. Thank you so much for sparing your evening with us. And I really do hope that we have an amazing time of sharing and learning. So good to see you guys. Ejiro?
Thank you. All right, God bless.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year in advance. My name is Godbless Akaige. I'm a lecturer in leadership at the University of Leicester in the UK. So I'm here. There's not so much about me. I'm so glad to be here and to share and learn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kunle?
All right. Okay, so good evening, everyone, once again. My name is Kunle Oguntegbe, and I am a teaching and research fellow here in the University of Naples in Italy. So I'm glad to be here this evening to share my experience and also to pick some lessons also from the people that are here. So thank you, everyone, and we'll get to know much about each other as time goes by. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So, to our wonderful guests that have joined us, please feel free to use the chat box. If you have any questions to ask any particular speaker, just drop it in the chat box and we will pick the question. If you have any comments as well, please feel free to drop your comments in the chat box, and we will read out your comments because we would like for you to participate as well. So it's not just the 4 of us, but it's for everyone. So please feel free to drop your own comments, your questions as we go along this program. Thank you very much. So I have some questions here to drive the discussions. And as we know, the topic we're discussing today is the journey to career success. The journey to career success. And I'm sure that you have your stories when it comes to the journey. Okay. Just like Yinka mentioned, she is a people and training lead, meaning that she's like, somewhere at the top, but she started from the bottom somehow, right? And same thing also goes for God Bless and Kunle. We all, started from the bottom. I'm not sure anybody just, landed on top. We started the journey, from the bottom. So I'd like to ask, and so we'll just go around. But I'll start with Yinka. At what point, did you know that, what you're doing now is what you want to do? At what point did that happen for you?
Okay, all right. Amazing question. I actually took some time thinking about this question and just thinking about the context in the conversation we'll be having today. And I think one of the things that I aim to achieve with answering this question, Ejiro, is to help a lot of professionals out there. So, I get to speak with quite a number of professionals every other time. And trust me, the struggle is real about this whole career, figuring things out and all of that. But one opening statement that I would like to say, and that I say to people on my team and people that I've worked with over the last couple of years, is that the journey to discovery, right, it never really comes to an end. Like, you never get to the point and you're like, oh, I figured it all out. And you're like, oh yeah, this is it. And this is all that I'm going to become. And I think that's one thing that I had to learn very early, considering the fact that I didn't even start as a HR professional. I started my career more than a decade ago, and I started as a Montessori assistant, right? I started as a teacher, literally teaching kids 3 to 5 years. And some of the things that I learned throughout that period, I'm going to be sharing if we have enough time tonight, but is to say that it's in discovering what exactly that, I wanted to do. It didn't happen overnight, right? And I love the fact that we're going to have the opportunity to share some stories. Like I was sharing my team during our strategy retreat this year, when I told them all the things that I had done, and they were like, Ika, how were you able to do all of this? But it's a journey, all right? I said that to say it's a journey. And I think I also had to learn to also just take the pressure off a lot of young people. Like I said, I engage with young people every time, and they're just under so much pressure about just figuring out, what exactly it is that, you want to do and all of that. But it's to just say that it's a process. So it's okay for people to embrace their process. It's okay for you to start from the bottom. Like I said, I started as a teacher, and I was teaching kids, and I loved it. And certain things that are transpired over the last decade are things that we would share. And I close to say that discovering what I'm doing now in terms of serving people, facilitating intervention across different industries, just didn't happen, right? It took a process, it took a journey, and it's in the working of the process of the journey that you actually unfold, through many of the tips that we'll be sharing today. So I would say that for me, discovery has taken time and still unfolding, because like I said, you never really come to the point where you've arrived. The more you know, the more you realize that there are so many untapped potentials inside of you. So I guess that answers it, Ejiro. I guess that answers it.
Very well. Yes. Thank you so much. You started as a teacher. I remember after my youth service, I said, no, teaching was out of it for me. But guess what? I also started as a teacher, even when I didn't want it. I didn't want it at all, but I found myself, teaching. And it's all to the glory of God, because I guess that's what He wanted for me, to start off as a teacher. And I learned a lot from that very stage. Thank you so much for sharing, Yinka. God bless. What about you?
Thank you so much. At what point did I know that, for example, lecturing is my chosen career? Since we should have that Christian perspective, I would like to mention a couple of scriptures. There's this Bible verse in Luke chapter 2, verse 18 and 19, that is just like the Christmas season, that talked about the shepherds telling Mary about Jesus Christ and everything. And the Bible says that all who heard it were amazed what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured these things, pondered them in her heart concerning Christ. So there are some things she was observing about the Lord when he was young, and the shepherds said that. And there's another scripture that says, we know in parts, but we prophesy in parts. And Yinka said it, that sometimes you don't just come to that full place of knowing. So it takes a process to actually know what your career is. So we live life forward, but we understand life backwards. So nobody is really sure, and it's just that journey continues where you keep touching, what is my purpose? What is my career? What is my profession? What should I be doing? So in looking back now and say, okay, when I was even in secondary school, I loved to write notes, and I was writing notes for people. I would even, they would give me some money, and I could write say full 60 leaves or 80 leaves biology notes in 2 days. And my handwriting is so amazing. People want me to write their notes. So I'm looking back and I'm saying, when did I discover that my gift, is writing, scholarship, research, academic? So I'm able to look back and say, okay, at what point did I now, when I saw the academic excellence, my gift and my passion for teaching, and of course I struggled. You know how they say in Bible terms, that's when God calls you, like calling Jonah to go to Nineveh. Of choice, you want to do something else, but that calling is very strong, and it keeps coming back at you that you need to teach, you need to impact people. So it took a long time for me to have that understanding that, okay, my destiny, my career is academics, and I'm happy to do it. So it really took a long, long time, and I'll share more of the stories. Thank you.
Wow, interesting. If I had known then, I would have asked you to write notes for me too now, because I didn't even like writing, Thank you so much for sharing. Kunle, can we hear from you?
Okay, so once again, good evening, everyone. Concerning my choice of career, I won't say it was a straight line graph. It was rather a curve, considering the fact that I had my first degree in a different field, my master's in a different discipline, then my PhD in something related but also different, actually. So basically, my first degree was in agricultural economics in UI. Then I had my master's in economics, related but somehow out of the line from agriculture. Then for my PhD, I did it in management. And that's why I found myself doing teaching and research in management. But the root of my career, which is teaching, is something that is inborn. I mean, I've been doing that from secondary school, all my university days. I used to take tutorials. I mean, even when I was not paid anything, I was still teach. So for me, teaching was something that is much more like a passion, and I've always done that. Even in the church, I'm a Sunday school teacher in the church, and I believe in this scripture that says that, I mean, Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 10, that says whatsoever your hand finds to do, you do with all your might. I mean, that's my mantra. So whatever I'm doing, I believe I have to do it well. And when I find myself in different field, every time I always give myself that challenge that I can always measure up, actually. Now, so if I say I knew what I wanted to do from the onset, it would be a lie. Mine was a kind of dilemma when I finished my first degree. the industry or academics. I was in between the two because I knew I could balance in the two actually. But then I knew myself so well. It was my ambition that I must get to the peak of this academic, which means I must do PhD. Then if I must do PhD, it means I'm already fashioning myself into the academic sector. Now, the path kept evolving, like Joseph, like at every point in time, he never knew his purpose. God showed him, just a glimpse of what will happen in the future. Means your brothers will bow down for you, but he didn't show him the process he will take him through. At every point in time, if anybody asked Joseph when he was in prison, what's your purpose? He would mention what he was looking. Let me just get out. Let me just get out of this prison first. After the prison, I can know what next. Now, when he was in the father's house, he had a different purpose. When he was in prison, different purpose. When he was on the throne in Egypt, different purpose. Now, what am I trying to bring out? My own purpose kept evolving as the process was going by. Like, I didn't say, okay, right from my secondary school, I want to become a doctor or I want to do this. But one thing that guided me was that even when I did not know what I wanted to do, I knew what I did not want. I'll say that again. Even when I was not sure what I
Hello. Hello. Oh, is
Yeah,
that
I
me?
think we lost. No, I think we lost me. I think it's network's taken on out.
Okay. Uh-oh, Kunle, I hope you come back. Okay, so he's gonna try to connect again. But he was saying something very interesting that even when he said something like he didn't know what he wanted, but he knew what he didn't want, something like that, right? Yeah. And that is it. Very, very interesting. Okay, so while we wait for him to come back and complete that line, so I'd like for you, Yinka, to just share what the journey was like for you. I see that, okay, from the beginning, you started off as a teacher and then you just went on and on. But can you just take us through and what were your learning points? How was it like for you? What did you learn? What happened, as you went on? Can you just share something that we can learn from today?
If I start that share, we'll not finish this session today.
Okay, summarize. Let's.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I was just joking. All right, but yeah, I definitely love to share. And I think when I was sharing this on my LinkedIn page, there was something I think I'd put up, and I put that up very intentionally when I'd written that everything that we would need to become whoever it is that God has ordained or destined us to be, everything is already inside of us, right? So perhaps there's somebody listening to this right now, or somebody who would listen to this recording or stumble upon this at some point or the other. I want this to be one first thing that you take out of this session, and even on the quest to discovering what exactly it is that God has called you to do. And I used to, growing up, I used to hear, for someone that loves to go for conferences, seminars, read books, read a book from Sam Adeyemi, from John Maxwell, those people, there's something they do, right? And I think I grew up with that knowing that everything that you'd ever need to become all that God has destined you to be is already inside you. But I think it was Kunle that was saying, growing up as a teenager, I think I was someone that my dad wanted me to be a medical doctor for reasons I do not know. And I remember then I was supposed to go study medicine. I remember at some point after school then, and I'll try to keep this short. At some point after university then, I think after university, I'd come down with severe migraine, because I had to take several exams. Like I must have written maybe like 6 or 7 exams from my final days in school into the university days, because I wanted to be a medical doctor. But to cut a long story short, I never became a medical doctor. I think I studied microbiology in university days. And something that Kunle said that I think is so classic. And I think Ejiro, one or two things about this. I think that's one tagline that we actually should take out. You need to be sure or to know what exactly it is that you want and be more sure of the things that you do not want. I'm not sure. That's me paraphrasing it now. But just to be sure what exactly it was that you don't want. And at that time, I think I definitely knew, because I think I'd gone for, what's that thing called, COS, IT, in some hospital. And I think I was there for 6 months. And right there and then, I knew that everything within me knew that, no, you can't, this is not you. Because talk about blood sample, all those things wasn't just, I think it just wasn't me, right? So I guess that is the second lesson I want us to. So, as I share the story, I'm going to be, highlighting certain things. So the first one is everything that we ever will need to become everything that God has ordained us to be is already inside us, right? But we just need to press in and discover that. Secondly, same thing with what Kunle said, in that journey of discovery, right? And part of the things that has also formed my story is knowing what I did not want and having the confidence to not accept it. Right. So fast forward, I went up from then I knew I wasn't going to do some work in the hospital. Well, not to say that working in the hospital is bad. I totally honor and respect people doing great work there. Just in terms of what I felt like God was calling me to do, it just wasn't what I was called to do. And then the journey to my career path started. And like I said, straight out of school, I think I was so confused. I must have finished secondary school in 2000 and university in 2009. Right, I went to serve in 2010, and at that point, I had no clue as to what exactly I wanted to do. Fast forward, I went to serve. I served in a school. I was teaching in a school. And this is my third point, right? All of those times when it looks like things were not clear, there was something that I saw that the Lord was helping me to discover then, and that is to my third point, and that is the point of self-discovery. Right. So all of that started from, right out of school, examining my strength, discovering my strength, discovering, areas where I needed to work on, what are my strengths? What are the things that I enjoyed to do? All right. What are the things that I would do when I know that, I wasn't going to get paid? And I realized that, working in a school, working with kids, teaching, training, speaking, those things just, they did something. They did something on the inside of me, right? And I think I'd moved from there. So that is to my third point: examining yourself, right? What do you enjoy doing? What do you value? What are your values? I realized early that I value professional development, human capital development, right? And all of this were unfolding as I journeyed through that. Also, I think at that point, then the question that many of us are here to answer, started to unfold in my heart. Like, think, what exactly is it that you want to do? So again, this takes me to my fourth point, which was a season where I started to explore. So just exploring different sectors, exploring different opportunities. Because one thing that I also want us to take out of this conversation is, like Wale, like Kunle, and God bless already said, it's a journey. Right, and we can't skip process. All right, we all have to go through that process. So I started to explore. Like I said, at some point I got some job in a consulting firm, and I worked for the late Dr. Miles Monroe at that time, where we worked with a company that was working with him in Nigeria, and just working with him then also sort of deepened my quest to find the woman that God had called me to become. So I explored that. I explored working in a consulting firm. I explored working across different sectors, providing consulting services. And as I did that, right, at that point again, I'm going to make here something Kunle said as well, right, which is doing whatever it was that you found your hand to do at that time and giving it your best. I cannot overemphasize that. So like I said, I'm going to be hitting the points as I share the story. I cannot overemphasize the need for giving your absolute best. My boss sent me a message this afternoon, and he said, Yinka, passion personified or something like that. I'm like, I don't know how not to be excellent. It's just embedded in my DNA, right? I don't know how to be mediocre. Excuse my French. So I said that to say that even in the quest to discovering purpose, even in the quest to discovering yourself, that DNA of excellence just has to be, so even in the process of figuring out what exactly it was that I was supposed to do at that time, for every time I found myself doing something, either as a teacher, as a consultant, as an associate consultant, as an employee, as whatever that I found myself doing at that time, I gave my absolute best, right? So examine yourself, questions, what are the things that would inspire you? What are your motivations, right? Again, some points that I'm just trying to land. What are your motivations? Exploring different sectors. So there's actually nothing, because someone says, just find one thing, and because like we said, you never can really tell. So explore. Is at that phase you begin to try out different things, all right? As I close out on this, I think all of that sort of took me a little over 8 years, across different sectors. Then the other thing I would say is I wasn't afraid, right? I wasn't afraid to try new things, right? So perhaps there's somebody here and you're like thinking, okay, there's this new opportunity and I don't think I have what it takes. I read a book once, and I think the author was talking about the power of yes, being a yes man. I wasn't afraid. I just had that spirit of, if there was anything that I needed to do or needed to learn, I was willing to say yes, right? So in the journey of becoming, learn to say more yes than no, more yes, taking on new opportunities, trying out new things, all right, mastering the craft. Then the other thing that I also have learned as part of the journey for me is just that power of always asking people how you can help them. I can never overemphasize this, but this also has helped me in my career path. Like I was always the person asking my boss, what can I help you with today? What is that thing I can do for you today? How can I take off that load off you today? And I must say that, in my short career, I remember one year, I think it was 2016, when I got awarded an organization I had worked with as the Employee of the Year. And one thing my boss said to me at that time was just, and I know that someone can take that out of here, is he said, Yinka, I just love how you always, go above and beyond and always want to solve problems. How you want to find out what your boss's issues were and how you were just willing to take on more. All right. So in wrapping this up, like I said, I'm going to summarize because we don't have enough time for that. But it's in one, examining yourself. Allow yourself to go through the process. Allow yourself to explore different sectors. Determine, what exactly it is you enjoy doing. For every time you find yourself an opportunity, ask yourself, how can I give my best in this, right? There's a mantra we love at our work very much. You say, you either give your best or you go home, right? How can I give my best at this, right? What is important to you? What are your values? How do you, how are you able to commit your absolute best? How are you able to master, that when you eventually find it, right? Are some of the things that has helped me along the journey. So I'll yield the stage now to the next speaker to just give some more comments regarding this.
Wow. Thank you so much, Yinka. As in, you are loaded. There is a lot that one can learn from you. You are so loaded. Thank you so much. I'd like you to get ready to answer this question. It just came to mind. So I have, come across people, young people, who, so they're working at a job, and to them it's just a job. They're just doing it because when you ask them, they'll tell you, well, they couldn't get what they wanted. So everybody starts with a dream job in mind. They want this particular job, but when they start, the job hunt, they're not able to get that dream job, and so they just settle for something else. You understand? So, and then you find that these people, because it's not their dream job, they don't give it their all. They just do because they want to get paid. I'd like for you to speak to these people, when we come back to you, just to like encourage them, because you said something profound, which is exploring. You have to explore, and while you explore, you have to give it your best. You have to, try to be the best, like give it your all while you are exploring. So I'd like for you to tie these 2 points together, speaking to, those kind of people who they're just doing a particular job because they have to, get paid, put food on their table and all that. And they don't get this sense of fulfillment because it is not, in quotes, their dream job. Okay. All right. So God bless. Let's hear from you. What was the journey like for you? The ups and downs, and did you also explore like Yinka, or you already you already had the path and you were like, this is just what I want, and I'll continue to give it my best shot until I land there. So share with us your story.
Thank you very much. So, like I said, I'm a lecturer, so I'm in the academic space. So I remember when I completed my secondary school, I failed. Like,
You what?
failed. Like, complete flat failure. Because it was like, out of 9 subjects, I had 7 F and 2 pass. Yes. And that was like 1998. So, and then I had to do GCE again. I didn't get the credit. I did it the second time. And then I got the credit I was looking for. And I know altogether I did JAMB like 5 times. So coming from that perspective and then being a lecturer today, you try and imagine what that was like. So of course I had no idea I was going to be in the academic space. But while I was learning and writing those exams, GC and JAMB, it was when I got into the university in the first year that it was just like, my heavens just opened. I had better understanding because I was struggling with mathematics. My younger brother was teaching me maths. I was struggling very badly. But my first year in the university, I could now understand maths and calculus. I was learning, and then my gift was coming out, and I was looking for how to survive then. So I joined a company, and I was in private coaching. So I was teaching from secondary school children after school. Then eventually I found out at the end of first year in university, I was second best in the class, over 4-point grade. And then I was teaching people. So while I was teaching my classmates, everybody now says, we understand you better, even better than the lecturer. You can teach. Why not just stand on the board and teach? Because we are now many. And then it's 20 people. And then the whole class want to listen to me teach them the same subject I was studying. And my grades were doing even better. I was now top of the class eventually. And then I established a center. It was 2 of us initially. We had a tutorial center. Then later on I had mine. And I called it God Bless 247 Analysis. Because I knew I had analytical gift. I could teach, I could. And in Nigeria, people are not big on mentoring. But I was actually mentoring people without knowing that I was in academic mentoring. I had a massive tutorial center. I had names of all the students. I coached them, support them, send them text messages, treat past questions. And that was how I was growing. So my lecturers were now discovering me. And when I do tests, they'll pick out my script and say, who is this person? See me, who is this person? Like everybody else wrote rubbish apart from you. And one lecturer said, go and look for a professional body and join. I'll pay, I'll support you. So I went to join the Institute of Bankers, and he was paying half of the fees. And I was doing the CIBN as well as my BSc program. At the time I was finishing my first degree, I was a chartered banker already. So in that banking center, I was now teaching bankers, which means I already knew from that point that is academic excellence, is brilliance. And talking about I remember this program that they do in the Experience in Lagos, that gospel concert. I used to have him. So like 2008, that's a long time ago. I was there, we were singing, and doing everything. And then one pastor was praying, Bishop Okonkwo, and he was saying, receive your healing, receive your deliverance, very powerful prayers. And I remember clearly, he said, receive your academic glory. Was it me alone? There was a disconnect.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his network is frozen a bit.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, God bless, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So it disconnected for just a second, but I can hear.
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. Hello?
Hello, Ejiro.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, very well. Thank you. So I was telling a story, right? And then
Yes, so receive your healing and receive your academic.
And immediately he said, receive your academic glory. I fell down like this. And all chairs around me scattered. It was even a bit embarrassing because it was like everybody knew it was me. And then I was asking myself, I'm already in 400 level in the university. Which academic glory is this man talking about? What's this all about? Because me, I want to finish school, normal undergraduate talk now. Let me finish and go and find work. I'm not doing it again, my dear. Now I can look back this 2022 to 2008 and say, okay, I see. So my destiny, my glory is like scholarship, being a professor and all that. So because I was now developing, so after my first degree, I wanted to work, jobs were not coming. I was already a chartered banker. Nigerian banks, they were not looking at me because, I was already like 32 when I started my master's. So they will always look for those who are 24, 26. So I didn't get any invitation for interview to any bank to work. And I had my CIB and I had my degree. So I now registered for my master's in Unilag. And then that was where it became clear to me when I was studying for my master's. Because in all the presentations, the lecturers will always say, my presentation is very good. And I aimed to make a distinction. So I was doing very well in my studies. And I made a distinction in master's in organizational behavior. And then I was working with my supervisor. While I was doing my project, my supervisor said, I noticed that your project is very well done. You know research. And she now gave me her own PhD thesis that can you go and develop some papers in collaboration with me, 4 papers. And technically, she held on to my project. She didn't want to approve it until those 4 papers were ready. So I worked on it, some of them for the thesis, added flesh, that prepared the 4 papers. And he said, these are so nice. And to a professor, said one is conference paper, local journal, international journal. And then she now approved my project. I got an A. From there, I was working with her and I was applying for PhD in the UK and also in Unilag. And eventually, I got a scholarship to study in the UK, which I just completed my PhD this year. So looking at the whole story, all of this I'm telling you now is 18 years. All of this process from that first degree, 2004, that I started in Lagos State University. So it's 18 years story. And it wasn't straightforward. It wasn't a linear equation because I wanted to do banking, but the door did not open. I did CIPM. I cleared it. There was no any CIPM job anywhere. So I was just doing the academics and learning and just developing. So it's always like that. It's not a linear equation. And something Yinka said, and there's a message for that by Bishop T.D. Jakes. It's all in the bag. It's all in the bag. Everything that you need for life and destiny fulfillment is already provided. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 3. So it's all in you, but to take a long time of knowing and coming into that purpose. And there are 3 P's: your passion, your profession, and your purpose. They are connected. To take you a long time in prayers, in understanding yourself, looking at your strengths, looking at failures, trusting God for direction to know exactly what you need to do. And you may try many things. That's the next question Yinka would answer. You may try many things. So I'll conclude with this story. It was Bishop Jakes that was sharing it, that his son wanted to read musical engineering. And he said he wasn't sure. And he now said, Dad, what if I go and study musical engineering, but it is not it? It is not what I should do. in terms of my career and my purpose. And then the father said something very profound to him. Don't worry, you say you want to do musical engineering now, but you're not sure, right? Go ahead. If it is not the door, it will be the door that leads to the door. That's the revelation. So you will not be sure at every point. But if it is not the door, it will be the door that leads to the door. Something we
Wow. Thank you so much. God bless. God bless. I really, really appreciate your story. I mean, and that line from Bishop T.D. Jakes, if it's not the door, it's definitely going to be the door that leads to the door. And that line just reminds me of how I started off as a teacher. Even when I didn't want to teach, honestly, I'll tell you that I did not, with my 2 eyes open, apply to the school. But somehow my CV landed in that school and I got invited to an interview. I even told you, I said, no, it's not me. It's not possible. I did not send my CV to you. He said, but I am reading your name from the CV, and I ended up teaching there. And that school, or the knowledge and the experience I gained from that school, became a stepping stone. In fact, it was the door that led to the next. In fact, it led to the career path that I am on today. So, in fact, then I was so angry at everything, but now I appreciate God because it was the door for me. Thank you so much for sharing that. Kunle.
Okay, so I'm back again, Ejiro.
Yes.
The other time I think my network just went off and I tried to
Yeah.
connect back.
And there was one line you were saying something before you got disconnected.
Okay.
You said that even when you didn't know what you wanted, but
Exactly. Exactly.
you knew
Exactly.
what you didn't want.
Yes.
So I'd like
And I'm
you
going to
to,
start from there so I can
yes,
connect to the next question because it's
yes,
actually very related. And I'm going to tell a short story so as to round it off. So
yes.
even though I did not know exactly what I wanted to do, I knew the options that were not for me. So by doing that, I was able to eliminate other options. When you're in elementary school and you're always doing well, and people will tell you, oh, you can become a doctor. From my weaknesses, it was not meant for me. I can't stand blood, I can't stand dead bodies and all those things. And I said, fine, this part is not meant for me. So whenever people brought that idea to my head, like, okay, fine, you are the senior prefect, you want to become a medical doctor, you like to read, you want to do this, I'll tell them it's not my path. Now, so connected to the next question about, did I have options? Yes, I had options. Now, so after my NYSC, I sent an application to KPMG in Lagos, which is one of the top 4 audit firms that people in my field always rush when they're looking for employment. So I wrote the test, which was the first stage. I passed. Second stage, I can't remember again what they did. I passed that one also. Now the final stage, where we should meet with the top the top management of the company. Before that time, I finished from UI with a first class, and everyone on first class were to go for masters on scholarship. So that became my first dilemma in career choice. Now, I was in between going for masters in UI or taking the KPMG job. So the first thing that will come to mind, based on people's expectation, were, okay, the salary. Now, I asked about salary and they said 125,000 naira. Concerning the scholarship, they will be paying us a stipend of 25,000 naira only, but they give us free accommodation, free tuition, and stipend of 25,000 naira. Now, if I want to judge based on salary, I'll go for KPMG. And that's where I ask myself, what exactly do you see yourself doing in terms of satisfaction? So I downplayed the income. I suppressed the income totally so I can make my decision clearly. Okay, this story I'm telling you, a friend of mine actually told me that it was a foolish decision. Yeah, to the person, it was foolish, and I accepted it. But I knew what I wanted to do. So when I opted for the masters, I mean, all through the masters, the person will always think in my head that I made a foolish decision all through, to the point that I had to disconnect from this person so as to be able to continue my career path, honestly, and I did so. Now, so I opted for the masters and I left KPMG job. In fact, the HR called me when I told the HR on phone that I'm no more coming. She asked me if I was the one making that decision also, or maybe there are some spirits influencing my my speech. So I told her no, I'm no more coming, that I'm going for masters. Okay, and that's all. Now, I won't say that the path was smooth, because after
Hello, Kunle. Oh my. Hello, Kunle. Okay. So I guess
a dollar was about, and I had income flashing into my head, but I chose based on my passion and what I wanted to do in the long run. So I didn't regret that journey today, because if I had not gone for the masters, I could have been in KPMG just trying to write ACCA and all those things, but that was not what I wanted to do. I would just go there for the money, honestly. But for my career path, I chose the masters, and I had to. I mean, they call something alternative for gone, so I had to just let go of that option so I can pursue my passion. So I had options, but I chose based on what I knew I wanted for my future, which is to teach and to do research. Thank you.
very interesting. Thank you very much. I mean, you see, while the three of you were speaking, I could sense the passion. I mean, you spoke passionately about, the journey and, where you are today and all that. I saw the passion. And I mean, it's amazing how, you feel passion. And I'd like for Yinka to, just because time is fast spent, and we'll also like to take questions. So, dear audience, please, if you have any questions, any specific questions or general questions at all, please feel free to drop them in the chat so that we can, also incorporate that into the discussions. Any questions at all, please drop them in the chat. Okay, so I'd like for you, Yinka, to help us to talk about the question that I dropped with you, and I also like for you to provide some guidance when it comes to choosing a career. Now, like I mentioned, I saw the passion with which the three of you spoke, and there was, like what Kunle said, he knew what he didn't want to do. And he, even when somebody had told him that he made the wrong decision, he left KPMG. KPMG. I applied to KPMG too. I remember KPMG then, right? So Kunle left KPMG, as promising as it was. I mean, so just provide some guidance when it comes to, going after your heart, the passion, doing something that makes you happy, that makes you feel fulfilled. Just speak to all of that in the little time that we have left.
Okay.
Just give
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ejiro. And I must really commend God Bless and Kunle. I mean, just listening to their stories, I'm like, something like Bishop says, the secret of men is in their stories, right? And I must really say that I salute just your journey, and just listening to you speak is truly inspiring. Just while they were speaking, they actually provided some answers to some of the things that I was going to talk about in response to your question, Ejiro. And two things. I think I took some notes down whilst they were talking, and I think the first bit I would say is something about something God Bless said about TDJ's son who wanted to study musical engineering, and a thought that I heard recently about a vehicle. So you know that a vehicle, a car, can easily be steered when it's in motion, right? As against when it is just when it's just standing still. All right. And I think right there is a classic message. I think I heard that from some leadership coach I was listening to a few weeks back. And he was just sharing, I mean, similar topic, just with a group of professionals about this same purpose conversation, right? And I think the lesson that I want to learn from that, also in response to your question about, not finding what you want or not finding what you have. And I think from even just listening to all three of us tonight, I mean, for anyone listening, I'm sure that there's one message that I think resounds loud and clear. And that is, this purpose journey is a journey. This purpose conversation, rather, is a journey, right? We never, and even the scripture says that every day I do not think of myself to have attained, but this one thing I do, I press on. Right. So there's never a point where we come and say, oh, I've arrived. Hallelujah. No. Every day we rise and we keep moving forward. Right. So it's that analogy of a car. So think about a car. All right. So a car. So for instance, with TJ's son, who he said, go ahead and take that course, because when you are in motion, you find that it's easy for God to steer and change the direction. So even if you're going towards the wrong path, there's, through the place of prayer, through the place of, which takes into my second point about mentorship. There's something I heard a speaker said a long time ago, and it just stood with me. I think I must have shared it with some of my team members on this call right now. And the speaker said, you never should underestimate the power of mentors, right? Because what your mentor does is that your mentor compresses years into days. Right. So for instance, if you pick up a book, maybe for example, I'm reading a book currently, How to Become a CEO. The author has given you what is taking perhaps maybe 10 or 15 years to accomplish, and he has compressed it into one book, right? And just sitting down with that book, right, for maybe 1 hour or 2 days or so, what it's done is it's compressed all of those experiences, which is why even conversations like this, albeit important, is also helpful, because what you'll find is that certain things that maybe God bless had to go through, or certain things that I had to go through, or certain things that Kunle had to go through, by the time you hear or pick something, you just know that, oh, definitely this is something that I think I need to work with. So that sort of like eliminates all the time, right, that you would have wasted, just aimlessly chasing what isn't. So two things, as I go into the point. The first thing is, in your quest for searching for a career path, please don't be stagnant. Like in my journey, I remember days where I went to work for free. And I'm not kidding, guys. I went to work. I just went and said, okay, yeah, I want to volunteer in your organization. Don't worry, don't pay me. I'll just work. I worked in the organization for 1 month. After 1 month, I got a job in the organization. After 1 year, I got a managerial role, right? But I was not stagnant. For every time I found myself, I wasn't idle. I always found, there was even a time when I went to do a diploma in school. I didn't have any job. I went to the market. I went to the market to come and teach me how to fry chin-chin. I have to start a chin-chin business. I've sold chin-chin in this Nigeria. Okay. So don't be stagnant. And the Bible says that whatever your hand finds to do it with everything as unto God. And that has been a very strong value. So at that time, when I was frying chin-chin, it wasn't easy. I was schooling and I was selling chin-chin to send myself to school. It wasn't easy. I'll go for classes, come back, I'll fry. I was having orders. It wasn't what I enjoyed doing. I had something on my hand because I needed to knead the flour properly. I would sweat, and it was not what I enjoyed. But you know what? My pastor at that time used to order my chin-chin. This chin-chin is anointed chin-chin. Oh, yes, anointed. You better buy it. So yes, there definitely will be times when what is available isn't what you want. But like Kunle and God bless said, it's definitely something that will open up the door. Right, I'll open up the door to other things. And I mean, someone said to me once, God is a responsible father, right? That means he's not an irresponsible God. He sees and he knows and is able to just chart the course of our lives to ensure that we are right at the center, but we have to be flexible. We have to allow him. So if he says, go do this, no matter how small, please start. I just told you how that I've had to do so many things. I've had to sell chin-chin. I've had to, I started I'm not to say teaching is bad. I mean, I loved it. If it was left to me, I'd have just been, and I'm still a teacher, funny enough, just now I teach industries, right? So it's in the starting small, all right? It's in the starting small, like we said, to give your absolute best. Ask yourself the question every time, if this was if this was mine, how would I handle this? right? If this was mine, how would I, because the truth is opportunities will definitely come. They definitely will come. But the question is, when they come, how ready would you be? So I think for that, Ejiro, I'll stop here. Especially to the question about, you doing something that you don't want to do on your way to finding something else. Like I said, two things, just keep moving, right? Don't be stagnant. It's better to steer a moving vehicle than one that is stagnant. And even in the moving, do it, give it your best, give it your 100% best. You're tired, but keep moving. You're exhausted, but keep giving your best, because the truth is, a time will come and you will not even remember, right? I talked about mentors as well. And I mean, a few points that I will leave you with in closing before we wrap up the session. Mentorship, a mentor, they always have a way of compressing years into days. So seek a mentor, talk to people. Kunle or God spoke about professional bodies. I have a number of professional bodies that I've been a part of, and I think some people on this call as well. I've invited them in because I know what that network does, and that's another conversation for another day. If identify your skills, develop your skills. I mean, I could go on and on radio, I found my passion now speaking. So I could just go on speaking, but I'll stop here and allow other speakers to just chip in something or two.
Wow, thank you so much. I said it at the beginning that you are loaded. I need to find a way to stop this thing. Oh. Thank you so much. I'd like for it's time is fast spent now. I would like for us to just round up the session with just a few words of encouragement in the line of purpose and career. So passion, purpose, and career in that line. Let's just give a few words of encouragement to our audience out there, those who are yet to find their chosen career path, which is kind of tied to their purpose, how do we encourage them? Those who are currently trying to find where should they be, what should they do? Okay, where are they now? Can they derive satisfaction from where they are now? Can they find love and passion where they are now? Or if they are not, how do they come out and get on track to where they should be headed to? So just a few words of encouragement along that line as we round up this session. So I'll start with God bless.
Thank you. I think we've said so much already. The place of prayers. So, and then putting on your experience, looking back and asking yourself, what is it I can do for free? People will always give you feedback on the things that you do best. If you ask them, the comedians will tell you that they make people laugh and people give them feedback and they work on it. And then there's need for delayed gratification. So do not be driven by survival, be driven by purpose. Some people don't know, they don't know how to hear God, or if God can give them direction. So if there is 20K in Lekki, they'll run there. If there is one business that gives them 100,000 in Ibadan, they are there. So just want to do so many things just to survive, just to pay the bills. That can't take you anywhere. You get to a time where you have to sit down and say, this is what I love to do, even if it's not paying now. But I want to pay the price. I want to learn. I want to stick to it. Don't forget that the longer you stick to a particular trade and you develop capacity and you build yourself, people will know you for that. And then there will be recommendations. So you can be a barber, but once you are very good at it, if after all, it's somebody that barbs the president's hair, that barbs the hair of the governors. And it's not 500 naira they will charge those ones. So if you stay put and you're very good and you develop capacity, people will look for you, and look at it from the perspective that your skill set is international demand. So you are not just limited to your country. When I wanted to study for a PhD then, it was like God calling me to the academy, and I was like, Nigerian lecturers, they strike, no money. Is this what I want to do with my life? After qualifying as a chartered banker, but like I think Kunle said, God is not going to give you the full picture. He just wants you to obey him, take the next step. If God had told me that time that you'd be a lecturer in the UK, I will agree now. UK. But I didn't know that I was going to study, do a PhD in the UK and be a lecturer in the UK. But I just got to the point where I accepted. And that's why listening to seminars, listening to messages, to the word of God. You know, those days I used to like Dan Foster, the late Dan Foster. So I used to follow him, Cool FM, Inspiration FM. So I listened a lot. And he used to play TDJ's messages. Then we don't have internet. So there was this message I was studying my master's then. I'll never forget it. Provoked on purpose. TD Jakes, you can go on YouTube. Provoked on purpose. That was the message I listened to, and I surrendered. I said, okay, I'll do this academic work. I'll be a lecturer. It was then, after I agreed now, that's when the door now opened. When I sleep, I can now see myself. Like I'll study abroad. People will call me and say, I saw you traveling, you are going to a far place. So, and I kept working at it. And don't forget that there'll be rejections. The admission and scholarship, 60 applications in 3 years and a half, 60. And I kept getting those rejections, and I kept at it because I knew that something is coming. In the place of prayers, I kept praying, I kept declaring the word of God. In fact, remember that time, since we said we need a Christian perspective, I went to meet my pastor in the church. I believe in prayers, I believe in miracles. I took money, like 5,000 naira. I said, I'm sowing a seed. Request. I say, you mean that time nobody knows that you can get scholarship from Nigeria? You mean you want somebody in the UK to pay for your full PhD admission and everything, and you just carry your bag and leave Nigeria? You know what he said? It's only God that can do it for you. The way he said it, I've not forgotten to that. It's only God. Then he now said, I'll encourage you to go and pray, keep engaging God. In fact, if you wake up every day or in the night, read Psalm 121 21 times. So what kind of problem is this? Is this not native doctor kind of recommendation? Psalm 121 21 times. Every day in the night, I'll carry Psalm 121, I'll read 21 times, I'll pray, I'll declare. In fact, after I read it 7 times, I'll declare. But God does not fail, because I had an admission for PhD in Durham University, and they gave me 1 year to resume. Where will I see money? I had applied for PTDF scholarship. They invited me to Abuja. I went there, came back, nothing happened, no funding. I went for Commonwealth scholarship Abuja. I went there. If you see the crowd, you will give up. Like, I get money to do this thing. Like, declaring. One night I had a dream. The Lord appeared to me, and he gave me just one small voice that said, I will give you another offer. And I knew that Durham, nothing came out of it. I couldn't go. 2016, but by 2018, I resumed for the PhD. I got 2 admission and then 1 scholarship, University of Sheffield. They live in Sheffield now, and I finished. So God confirmed his word, but that persistence, you keep pushing, keep pressing. David said, it was for me that I have been afflicted, that I may learn your commandment. Your disappointments, your confusion, your frustrations are only preparing you, building capacity, helping you to overcome rejection, building resilience, perseverance, and tenacity. And all of these things are important attributes for success. I close with this last quote. Persistence will take you there. Consistency will keep you there. And thankfulness will increase what is there. Thank you.
Powerful. Persistence will take you there. Consistency will keep you there. And Thanksgiving will increase what you have there. Great. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you. Kunle, can we hear from you? Please, time is fast spent now. We wouldn't want to keep our audience. Just try and summarize, because Yinka will also give her last words of encouragement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So in summary, about career choice, my advice for people is to find that thing they like to do, even when they're not being paid for it. Something that you can do as a passion, because in career path, there will always be obstacles. So when obstacles come, then the passion will continue to be the driving factor to continue on the journey. I mean, time will not permit me to share my own story about disappointments here and there. But then I think God bless has said most of the things, so I wouldn't want to repeat most things. And also Yinka has nailed some of these points. But then let me just say this, that just to never give up when you're pursuing a purpose is very, very important. So the downs will always come, but then I mean, the Bible says that even when sorrow may last for the night, that joy will come in the morning. So at the end of the day, you will still smile. So continue to persevere. And also in terms of sowing, it's very important. I mean, sow in season, sow out of season, because we even know that which might grow. If you stop sowing in season, it may not be that one that will germinate. Maybe the one you sow, even when rain is not falling, that will germinate. So at every point in time that you have the chance to dig, just continue to dig deeper. And at the end, you attain the peak of career choice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kunle. That was profound. Okay, Yinka, give us the icing on the cake.
Thank you so much. God bless Kule. I think I absolutely love their perspective. I mean, we all cannot take God out of the conversation, right? And I love the fact that that has been firmly established. So the other things that I will just leave with us from a HR perspective, right? Because as HR professionals, we're always, as a matter of fact, I'm even looking for we're constantly looking for people, I mean, in organizations, but just key things that I know that will help anyone, right? Either in Nigeria, out of the country, key things that HR professionals are always looking out for, especially on this career journey. I'm just going to list a few of them. And I hope that, someone is able to get something from this. So I think number one on that list would be, quite funny, but very important. On your journey to career development, please improve your communication skills. All right. So in terms of, some of the speakers spoke about all the different things that they've had to go through, right? But one thing that I know that will also help you. So when the opportunity finally shows up, was Les Brown that said, when you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are, right? So whilst God has a great plan for you and God has amazing things for you, it's also imperative that you also do the work. I absolutely love what God said about persistent consistency, right? So improve your communication skills. For people that care to know, I didn't used to talk like this talking like this has taken me a lot of practicing to learn, and I'm even still learning, right? So improve your communication skills, because you also want to be able to, for every time that opportunity comes and you have to speak concerning what you're passionate about, or concerning convincing someone to get you a job or stuff, you need to master. So take certification courses, go for conferences, whatever it is that would help you improve your communication skills. Very important. Number two, pursue personal development. For anyone that knows just the general trends of things, you would know that continuous learning is the key to success in any field, right? Continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in any field. So you cannot afford to stay on yesterday's knowledge, right, and expect to still be relevant. I say to people that are quite close to me, I ask them, what is that one thing you've learned in the last 6 months? What are you learning? There are quite a number of interventions, new things coming up across different industries. So what are you learning? What are you reading? Someone will say, the last education I did was my master's. Forget that. What is the future? All right. How are you preparing for the future of work? How are you engaging? How are you upskilling? Right. So number one, improve your communication skills. Very important. Number two, continuous development, professional development. Number three, follow your education closely, very close to what I said. So don't just sit back and say, oh, I don't have energy to continue. God spoke about how he had to go do a master's degree, right? So get an institution, get something that excites you, and go for it. At number four would be also just the aspect of goal setting. So that scripture that says, write the vision, make it plain. So whilst on your journey to becoming, what are the things that has been impressed on your heart? Write it down. There's so much power in writing. Another seminar perhaps will cover that. Write it down. What are the things that you've seen? What has the Lord showed you? What has the Lord told you? What are the things, the desires that have been placed in your heart? Write it down. Right? 5 years, 3 years, 2 years from now, what are the things? We're going into 2023. All right. Have you had a time to think about the things that you want to attain this year? So write out clear visions. All right. What exactly it is that you want to achieve. And following closely after that is also to search for new opportunities. All right. So don't wait sometimes opportunities to come. I talked about volunteering. So even now that you're still trying to figure out, find an organization that is doing something that excites you and ask them, oh, can I please be a volunteer for you? Don't worry, you don't have to, either remotely, physically, in whatever context, seek out for new opportunities. All right. You know, someone said once that it's only a rich man that does the same thing the same way and expects a different results. Right. So if you want to do something differently, you have to do something differently. So search for new opportunities. Go out, be a yes man or yes woman. Try out something new. Oh, can you do this? Yes, I can. Right. So search for new opportunities. Also, God said something. Review your progress, track your progress. Something a mentor said to me once, I'll never forget. She said, Inka, life is lived forward, but reviewed backwards. So think about, and we know we've all just spoken about different things that we've had to go through. I just sort of summarize 10 years of my life. God bless summarized 18 years of his life. But when you think back, think about the process and the journey that you've had to go through, and actually, talk about Thanksgiving, gratitude, so powerful. I'm thinking like, how is it important in HR? You will soon know. Very critical, right? So gratitude, practice gratitude, very essential. We cannot overemphasize that. Then another thing I want to say before I go, grow your professional network. Very, very essential. Many of us on LinkedIn, someone was asking me recently, what do you do on LinkedIn? I'm thinking, really? Are you asking me what we do on LinkedIn 2022? Grow your professional network. Social media is great. I'm not anti-social media, but be intentional. I tell people every post I put on LinkedIn is very intentional. I just don't post aimlessly, right? This opportunity came from LinkedIn. I'd never met a Jiro before, just for the record, right? But it was from LinkedIn. So grow your network, right? Be the person that people want to speak with, and that requires a lot of work, right? Also master your craft. Master your craft. We talked about pressing, not coming to the point where you think you've attained. Don't ever come to the point where you think that, oh, this is all that I can ever be. I know there's a principle of the 10,000 hours rule. I'm sure a few of us know it, now that you require at least 10,000 hours to master something, so that when you think about a particular topic or a subject matter in your field, are you the go-to person? Trust me, that requires a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, a lot of persistent determination, right? So master your craft. Then finally, find a mentor. I think I already talked about this. You cannot overemphasize that people that have gone. I'm a product of many mentors. Like someone would say, take a village to raise a child. Many mentors, just learning from them, listening to them, watching them, just catching from different places. All right. So there's still so much, but I wouldn't want to take our time because I think we've gone a bit overboard. But I really do hope that somebody on this call has gotten something that would move you in the right trajectory, especially towards career success. So that's it for me, Ejiro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I guess we can take questions now.
Wow, thank you so much, Inka. I really appreciate those tips. I'm sure someone has learned something, and I'm very sure that there's a new perspective now. A new perspective is being created when it comes to choosing a career, staying on and growing. Also, tying career to passion and purpose. I'm sure a new perspective is being created in the minds of everyone who has joined us here today. For the sake of time, we cannot go on this program, but I really appreciate everyone that has joined us today. Thank you so very much to our speakers, to Yinka, to God Bless, and to Kunle, who have shared their own stories with us. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And to our wonderful audience who have joined us this evening, I really appreciate you. You stayed until the end. Thank you so much. The conversations will not end here. That I can assure you. So if you have any questions, at all, please feel free to if you have any questions at all, please you can channel your questions to us, and we'll if you'd like to get in touch with any of our speakers, you can also reach out to me, and we will connect you with the speakers. For example, I can assure you that Yinka will be a great mentor for you, because she's already in that line, and you can see she was really speaking passionately about this topic. So if you need a mentor, you need someone to just guide you through, Yinka is there. God Bless has been mentoring for a very long time. Kunle as well. So if you need any kind of mentorship from them, please feel free to reach out to me and I will connect you to them. Thank you so much once again. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to meeting with you on another episode. This whole program is an evening with Ejiro. We meet every Sunday, but we had to meet today because yesterday was Christmas. And so we decided to have it today. So if you have any questions, maybe something that you'd like for us to speak on, please feel free to reach out to me. All of our videos are on our YouTube channel, The Life of a Christian. And this particular session will also be available on our YouTube channel, The Life of a Christian. So you can go to the channel, watch the videos that are there. You can also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the videos we will be uploading subsequently. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so happy that you all joined me today on this show. Until I come your way again, I want you to always remember that God loves you. Be blessed. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.